morning. In today's video, we are going to make some freezer meals. I'm not going to make too many of them. I know there's a lot of YouTubers that make quite a few of them. I have very limited freezer space, so I'm only going to be making 4 of them today. I'm going to make hopefully 4 freezer meals. We'll see, maybe 5. We'll see. See how much time we have. I'm going to make 2 lasagnas, and I'm going to make crock pot meal orange chicken. And what else am I going to make? Cream cheese chicken. It's one of my family's favorites. And if we have time, we'll make a crock pot cashew chicken, if we have time. To start, I thought we would start browning some of the ground beef that I have here. We're going to start with the lasagnas. So we're going to cook this entire package. Break it up with my meat masher here. I'll help if I turn on the stove. Let's see here. What did I do with my meat masher? Oh, there it is. I got a lot of utensils in here. So we're just going to break this up. This meat masher you can buy on Amazon. It works great. I actually bought this one at the dollar store. The exact same. Works the exact same. I can link the one from Amazon if you like. It works great for cutting up the meat really quickly, getting it into smaller chunks. So we're just going to brown this hamburger. While it's browning here, I'm going to add some spinach. This is dehydrated spinach that I grew last year. Dehydrated. I find dehydrated spinach is the easiest to use for me because if I buy a big bag, it usually goes bad before I finish using it. So I find dehydrated works best. I'm going to add a bunch of that in. Add some garlic. And I'm going to get some onions from the freezer. I have some onions and some peppers. I like to keep these pre-cut. For those that have watched me before, you know this. It's a lot more convenient having it already cut. Saves a lot of time, especially if you work and you come home late. It's less prep. We want to make quite a bit of filling because we are making 2 lasagnas. And put some peppers in. There we go. Maybe another handful. I have a habit of not making enough filling for this, so make sure we got enough here. Okay, so we're just going to let this cook down for a minute and go from there. I'm going to pick some of my basil here, and we're going to put this in lasagna. One of my windowsill plants here. So we're just letting this cook down a bit. Mix it up a bit so it all cooks nice. This is the biggest frying pan I own, so hopefully I can get this all cooked down nice. I am looking to purchase some new pots and pans soon. I don't like this Teflon stuff, so I think I'm going to probably buy some stainless steel ones. Haven't decided which ones yet. We'll see. Okay, we're gonna let that cook down a little bit. While we're waiting, I chopped up the basil that we just picked, and I'm gonna add that. Give it a little bit of extra flavor. I'm gonna add a bunch of pepper. This is a lot of hamburgers, so we want it to be quite flavorful since it's the filling. Some salt. I don't like to add a lot of salt to my cooking, just enough for flavor. Some garlic plus. I do use this seasoning quite a bit. It works really well. Ooh, there we go. I'm gonna have to mix that up. There we go. Let that cook for a minute. So now, while this is cooking, you can do it after, it doesn't matter. I just like to do it in the middle just because all the flavors cook together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of sugar to this. And the reason is because when I put my lasagnas together, I don't cook the tomato sauce. So I like to have the sugar to offset the tartness of the tomato. So I usually put it in the hamburger mixture. So we're just going to put a couple tablespoons. I think that's good. It helps offset the tomato. Tomatoes can be quite tart, and putting a little bit of tomato, or sugar into it really helps take away some of the acidity of the tomatoes. So we're just going to keep simmering this and chopping it up and browning it. So I'm also going to add some of these dehydrated mushrooms that I have. I have an oxygen absorber in here. I don't actually have any fresh ones on hand, so we're just going to use some of these dehydrated ones. We're going to use them in 2 recipes today. Completely forgot to buy mushrooms. These will easily rehydrate with the liquid from the mixture that we're cooking. Cut up a few of these chunks. There we go. I think I'm going to add a little bit more pepper. I don't want it to be too bland. A little bit more salt. A couple more minutes and this should be done. Okay, I think the mixture is done, so we can start putting together the lasagna. These are my freezer meal pans. We're going to use these to put together the lasagna. So let's take the mixture, get that prepared, move out some of my stuff here. I like to use fresh pre-made lasagna sheets. These I find freeze well and they taste better. So we're going to use some of these. One day I am going to learn how to make homemade pasta, so stay tuned for that. I already have a pasta machine, I just haven't Haven't gotten to figuring it out yet. So we'll learn together. Okay. I do not make my lasagna with ricotta cheese. Nobody in my family likes ricotta cheese, not in big quantities anyways. So I use cottage cheese. Cottage cheese and matzo cheese, that's the only two cheeses we use. My lasagna is very basic. It's a family favorite though, that's why we're making two. Okay, so now we can get ready and put it together. So to start, I use Prego, but you can use whatever kind of tomato sauce you like. I am going to be making my own, hopefully this year if I can grow enough tomatoes. But I like to put some down, just so it doesn't stick on the bottom. Get a spoon here. Like that. And then I usually start with the meat mixture. Oh, we're gonna make a big mess today. You can put in as much filling as you like. I usually spread between the two and do however much filling I have. But if you like lots of filling, use lots of filling. I think that I'm going to strain some of this juice that's on this ground beef mixture. Just one sec. So I'm just running hot water so that if there's any remnants that go down the sink, it's all hot. And I don't want to rinse the hamburger. There's just a lot of juices, more than likely from the peppers and the onions. It's probably not grease. I do use lean ground beef. That's better. Make sure that's all down there nice. Okay, now we can continue. Now we can continue. Not as much liquid now. Okay. I like to just generally do about that much. And then I take these, and these just happen to be the exact width of my pan. That was not on purpose. It's just an added bonus. Pretty close to the exact width anyways. I like to make sure that there's a lot of sauce on top of these so that they cook nicely afterwards when they come out of the freezer. Just gonna do 1.5 here. These fresh lasagna sheets are worth the extra money. And then I just put sauce on. I just like to make sure all of it's covered with the sauce so it cooks nice. And the juices from the meat and the peppers and onions usually helps with this as well. I have tested this recipe so many times and it works really, really well. I do not recommend the no-cook lasagna noodles. They say they're no-cook, but it's a lie. They don't work well at all. So then I'll add some of the cottage cheese. I don't really do this in a ton of different layers. Just put them together like this. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to add some more meat. Like that. It doesn't have to be on every last spot. Like I said before, as much mixture as you like. And there we go. And then I just keep repeating. Okay, so now I'm going to add some mozzarella cheese to them. I'm not going to add any more meat mixture. It'll be too big and overflow. I'll use this in something else. So now we're just going to top it with some mozzarella cheese. I'm just going to finish adding the mozzarella cheese onto this one. And then we can put the lids on and they can go in the freezer. Okay, so now we can start putting the lids on. Mine snap closed. I purposely ordered these on Amazon because they snap close like that. I'll link these in the description box in case you're interested. They are actually fairly cheap. I bought them for a few different prices, $10.97, $15. They're not that expensive. So now I'm just going to label these so I know what they are. We don't want mystery dinner. So I usually put what it is and what day I made it. So today is, what day is today? May 16th. If you wanted an extra added layer of protection, you could put saran wrap on it before you put the lid on it, but I find the lid is sufficient. These usually aren't in the freezer for a really long time before I use them, so I find that they're perfectly fine. There we go. And now those are ready for the freezer. Now we can start with cream cheese chicken. For the cream cheese chicken, we're going to start by making the filling. This one I'm using a smaller pan because we don't really need a ton of filling. I'm only putting a little bit of oil because off camera here, I cut up some bacon. I like to add bacon to this. It adds lots of flavor to this dish. I added some water to the garlic in the bottom here for a reason. I'll show you in a sec. For the rehydration of these mushrooms while we're cooking it here. If you have fresh, obviously use fresh. Fresh is better with anything. Okay, so now let's cook for a sec. Let me get a spoon. Let the bacon crisp up a little bit before I stick the peppers and the onions in. Let those peppers rehydrate a little bit. We're also going to add some spinach into this meal. I try to add spinach or healthy things into most meals. It doesn't take much to add a pinch in, and you barely taste it. So this is more of a stuffed cream cheese chicken, but I cut it open, so it's not really stuffed, it's more layered. The mushrooms are starting to reconstitute. Okay, so that's cooking. We'll add a little bit of peppers. Then we'll add some onion. And that should be all we need for 4 chicken breasts. I'm just going to put these away so they don't fall off. Let's turn this down a little bit so I don't burn it. I like to cook the filling ahead of time just to make sure everything's nice and cooked before it goes into the chicken, so that when I'm cooking it, I don't have to worry about if the inside is cooked. Let some of these bigger peppers cook a little bit. Okay, I think these are done. So we'll take this over and start putting together the chicken. Now to put the chicken together, I'm going to use chicken breasts. You can use whatever you like, but chicken breasts work best for this recipe. So how I do it is I literally just cut it in half. Like that, and I try to leave it attached, somewhat attached on the one end. And then usually how I do this is I go like that. Put 4 of these side by side here. That's kind of a small one. Let's use a little bit bigger. Like that. Now We're going to take the cream cheese we used the other day and use the rest of it on this. Let me wash my hands first. Okay, so we don't have much left, so we're going to split this between them all. This is one of my family's favorite recipes. This and lasagna, actually. It's their two favorite things that I make. So just spread it out like that. Try to get some on all the pieces here. Let me wipe my hands. Okay, and then now we take the mixture and we distribute it through all of them and just put it right on top. If you hear the door in the background, that's just my son leaving. He came home for lunch from school. This is a super simple recipe. It doesn't need to look perfect. Okay, now we're going to add a little bit of cheddar cheese. Let me just fix some of this here. Like that. And then I just put the tops on again, like this. Like that. And then this is the part where it doesn't look as appetizing, but trust me, it keeps the chicken nice and moist when it's baking. I take tomato sauce and I cover the entire chicken breast. Need to get one more open here. If you want to use less, you can, but I do recommend that you cover it completely. It seals in all of the flavors and the cheese. And that's literally it. You bake it and it's delicious. So now we can package this one up. Label it. Okay, now we can move on to the orange chicken for the crock pot. Okay, so I'm going to start by dicing up some of the chicken. This is for the orange chicken for the slow cooker. I'm just going to put it in a Ziploc here. Put it on my bag holder. So we're just going to dice this up. We're using the same cutting board we were cutting a chicken on earlier. Just put it into bite-sized pieces. open my other package here and put a little bit more in. My fiance likes to take leftovers for his lunch, so I try to make a little bit extra. Okay, now we can start making the filling. Oh, there's a bone on that piece too. Okay, now we can make the sauce. Okay, so I just went and cleaned up a little bit and I pulled out all the ingredients for this to make it a little faster and a little easier. Okay, so I've got the chicken. So let's add garlic. It says 1 teaspoon. Knowing me, I'm going to add a heaping one, maybe an extra one. We like garlic in this house. Okay. Some chili powder. We need 1/2 teaspoon. Okay. What else? We need 1/4 cup of cornstarch. Oh, I already have 1/4 cup measure in here. I'm assuming this is to thicken the sauce when it's in the crock pot. There. And then we need some marmalade. So I have some orange marmalade here. It's asking for 3/4 cup. So I'm going to eyeball this. Might even add a little bit more just so it has a little bit more orange flavor. There we go. And oh, we need some honey. It says 2 tablespoons of honey. Some soya sauce, about 1/4 cup. Seems like a lot to me, but we're going to do it. Okay. We're definitely not adding salt to this recipe since there's so much soy sauce in it. Sesame oil. It says 1 teaspoon. I'm probably going to put more. As you know, my fiance is Chinese, so he does like sesame oil quite a bit. So there, we'll add a little bit more. Some rice wine vinegar. It says about 1 tablespoon. Some ginger paste, or dried ginger if that's what you have. So I'm going to add a little bit extra of this as well. It says 1/2 tablespoon. I just know my fiance, so we're going to do like a heaping one. Okay. And then some red pepper flakes. It says 1/2 teaspoon, but I would do this according to how spicy you like things. So in my house, my kids don't really like a lot of spice, but my fiance loves spice. So I'm going to do in between. Right about there sounds good. Let me see if I've got everything here. It says 1 tablespoon of this. I'm only going to put a little bit of this in. This is olive oil, just because I put so much sesame in. There we go. And it says just to mix it up. Mix up all the flavors together. I think I'm going to juice an orange and zest it and put it in here as well, just for a little bit extra added orange flavor. I'm going to do that right now. Okay. So I'm going to roll it just to get the juices going a bit. It brings out more of the juice. This isn't in the recipe, but I just know from cooking that this will add more flavor. When you're zesting, make sure, whether it's an orange or a lemon, make sure that you don't get too much of the white. The white is very bitter. You just want the rind. I am notorious for taking a recipe and modifying it to make it a little better or a little bit more flavorful. Oh, I broke it. It's okay. I think we have enough zest. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to cut this. And then we're just going to pour the juice in. Big orange. There we go. Now we'll mix all this up. Okay, just going to take the air out. I probably should have written on the bag ahead of time, but I didn't. Okay, so there's one. I would normally freeze this flat like this so it doesn't take up as much space in your freezer. Okay, so now we can move on. I already put the chicken breasts in the bag for this one. I decided we're not going to do cashew chicken. I figured I would show you a different, very, very fast, just very easy recipe. This is going to be a chicken marinade. So for this one, it's going to be super fast and super easy. So I am going to take a scoop, probably about half a cup of brown sugar. I'm going to put that right in. I know that seems like a lot, but it's the basis of this sauce. And then I'm going to take Italian dressing. And I'm just going to pour that right in. This is more of a chicken marinade for like the barbecue or for grilling. I'm going to put some pepper in. Normally I would stick a little bit of oil, but because the dressing, it's Italian, it has quite a bit of oil already in it. I'm not going to put any. Some salt. I'm going to add a little bit more pepper. And then I'm going to mix this and see if it needs any more brown sugar or anything in it. And that's literally all that goes in this recipe. It's so good. And that's what it looks like. I like making marinades ahead of time because as it's thawing, when you take it out of the freezer, and let's say in the morning you take it out, it's marinating in the sauce the entire time it's thawing. So you don't have to worry about marinating. Okay, so I call this one Italian brown sugar chicken. And there we go. And like I said before, freeze it flat. It'll save you room in your freezer. And then once it's frozen, just stand it up. There we go. Here's a look at our 5 finished freezer meals. I can go put them in my freezer now. I got to find room. That's why I only made 5. I didn't have enough room. Yeah. I really hope you guys enjoyed making freezer meals with me today. And it's pretty easy. You know, maybe you'll try it yourself. So this is where I'm going to end the video. And I hope you like, subscribe, and share. And follow me if you liked my videos. And I'll see you next time.